All right, folks, back here on Inside Analysis, and our next guest knows a thing or two about transformation. And we talked about digital transformation over the past 20 odd years, but now there is a very significant transformation happening with AI. How do you use AI? Where do you bake it into your workflows? How do you deal with the change management around AI? These are all very, very serious questions that are being posed to the world at large right now. And I've got Lamiaa Farrag on the show. She was formerly with Nestle and Cigna, and she's going to be a graduate soon. So first of all, Lamia, tell us a bit about yourself, and you're going to be off in a new chapter coming soon, right?
Yeah, thank you for having me here. As you mentioned, I'm graduating very soon from the Chief AI and Data Executive Program, preparing me for the next chapter for leading the data and AI transformation. And I
Wow.
would like to start here that we all notice in 2026 data intelligence is shifting from experimental AI pilots to really autonomous enterprise execution.
Mm,
And Eric, at the center of this transition is data integration and interoperability, the
hmm
foundational capability that allows really fragmented enterprise data to move seamlessly across complex cloud and hybrid architecture.
hmm
So without it, AI remains fragmented.
hmm
Without it, organization can operate with real-time intelligence, speed, and confidence at scale.
Wow. You're right. The fragmentation of data and systems has been a challenge for a long time. We came up with technologies like data warehousing to try to address that. There are lots of different ways, data federation, data virtualization. There are all kinds of things happening these days. You're coming right out of this program. What's the latest recommendations for how to solve the data slash integration challenge for AI?
I like that one. That's very exciting question here because when I start here, I would love to highlight that one thing many organizations underestimate is the crucial differences between combining data and communicating data. These words get used, in a different meaning,
Hmm
but they describe fundamentally different capabilities. If we are going to start here, when you mention data integration, in very simple word, is the process of physically merging data from multiple sources into consistent standardized format.
hmm
This format, as you mentioned, can be moving data into a centralized reservoir like data warehouse, or by linking sources virtually without moving them. That when
hmm
we call it data visualization.
hmm
There is methods, we call it ETL,
hmm
extract, transform, and load,
Sure.
or ELT, which is extract, load, and transform.
Right.
Those are like different. It depends on the operational model of the company itself. And there
hmm
is, as you mentioned, there is a data visualization. The ultimate goal here at the end of for the company is to have a single source of truth, trusted version of the truth that really help to make reporting and analysis reliable. But this is
hmm
not the end of the story. Here it comes to the role of the data interoperability. That's exactly the ability of different systems and devices and application to really connect and communicate and
hmm
exchange the data regardless the underlying technology each one of them has or use. It
hmm
operates across three different layers. We call it synthetic, which is shared format, and semantic, which is the meaning and the context across the system, and organizational, which is basically aligned process and standard across different entities.
hmm
So interoperability fails the moment the company do not align the stack from technical structure all the way up to the business rules.
hmm
So mentioning now which technology it is, it does not matter. What matter is the relationship between data integration and interoperability based on the operational model. Those
Hmm.
concepts are very crucial to provide the connection and the protocol that allow data to flow in the first place. Integration is what happens to let the data flow and exist and consolidate data into something usable. Together they eliminate the silos. So here it is the way that company can really reduce the silos and enable complete unified view of crucial information. So in
Hmm.
2026, organization moving fast fastest are not those who are like looking at acquiring more data because they have the data. They are mastering the interoperability that lets the data work across entire the enterprise. So back again, it's not the technology. It is all around the governance and the process in place and the operational model.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've talked about ETL and ELT and data virtualization on this show for years. I mean, we really dig into those things, and you're right that it's all over the map. And that is the real challenge for organizations because to become so-called AI ready, you have to find some way to provision the data that an agent is going to need or that an AI model is going to need. So typically, RAG models are used, retrieval augmented generation, which came out of Facebook, if I recall correctly. But even that is just, it's providing more context for the model. We were talking Gen AI, right? And then MCP comes along, Model Context Protocol, which is a very useful way to let the model reach into your systems, allow it to make API calls, for example, or requests of databases. But I think the key to understand here is that this is a very different world than the world of data warehousing, where you had ETL scripts pulling data into the warehouse, and then a handful of people are in the organization with access to the warehouse to make their queries and kind of understand where things are going. This is a whole different workload for AI. And I think a lot of companies are just not ready for it. I don't think they understand what is required to get ready for that. But it's a transformation that will happen one way or another. It's a question of how painful, how expensive, and how long it's going to take, right?
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. But before of all of calculation of like of what's coming next, we always ask ourselves, are we ready in terms of data architecture to really welcome the AI and to
Right.
really help to have AI at scale?
Sure.
Because we are no longer scaling pilots. We are wiring the enterprise for autonomous execution.
Right.
So and data is no longer an exhaust, it is the execution layer for the business. And
Right.
when we integrate, govern, and activate it, data can be the life blood of the organization flowing through an enterprise to drive intelligence, innovation, and growth. And here it comes AI at scale that shift from reporting on what happened to instrumenting how the enterprise runs its real time pricing, inventory, care pathway, trial design, workforce
Right.
development, risk decision, and all becoming data and AI mediated.
Hmm. Yeah, well,
So
that's another interesting point to pull on a bit here, which is the stack. Like, how are you going to use AI? Which data is it going to use? I mean, one of the mantras on our show the last 2, 3 years, ever since the LLMs came out, was get your data house in order. A lot of organizations have so much data, they don't really know the topography. They don't know everything they have. There are systems in production that are doing things, and the operators are like, leave it alone, don't touch it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of thing. But again, to serve this AI use case now, we need to open up the floodgates a bit. We need to open up access, but you have to be careful about it. I guess that's where MCP really comes into play. But what are you seeing?
I would love here, like I like that thinking when we are talking about let's talk about data warehouse, and you also mentioned RAG, the retriever augmented generation, and now you're talking also about MCP. I would like to take a concrete example here, which is Carrefour, as as your anchor of how physical retail become a true real-time data operation.
Hmm.
So Carrefour tried to invest a lot in AI and transform from a messy garage of legacy system into a connected, stored, powered by robust RAG, retriever augmented generation, and architecture. The challenge for Carrefour is the legacy system. Their operation model based on SAP, the SAP for HANA, which
Mm-hmm.
is the old-fashioned reservatory place that capturing the data that limited the transformation to happen. Carrefour Business Challenge was staggering out of stock. Detection was taking days because they were relying on manual inspection because of the SAP for HANA. Their
Hmm.
interoperability issue was syncing data from 70,000 smart label and hundreds of unstructured camera back into Schlag legacy subsystem.
Wow.
Deliver this exact soundbite during the whole process. Carrefour realized that AI assistant without real-time inventory awareness is not achieved near real-time stock correction. The lesson for them here, architecture dictates whether your AI scales globally or just stays as cute local pilot. And what
Mm-hmm.
leaders are realizing now, also looking at Target and Walmart, is yes, we need to look at our infrastructure, our data architecture, but also we need to look at our concrete power and values of human and skills and assets in place.
Mm-hmm.
So I got now, like there is different technical solution for how we are going to store our data. But the most critical point is that what is really our business operational model and how to really build all the system in place to be able to have that orchestration based on the operational model itself
Yeah.
and the business
Well,
value.
right. You raise an excellent point, which is that the operating model of the business is how things get done. A lot of companies do not have a full comprehension of exactly what that looks like. As crazy as it sounds, that's the kind of thing an enterprise architect is supposed to know. So an enterprise architect is supposed to really understand what is the technology stack, which part fits where, how do we actually get things done. And once you have that mapped out and understood, then you can start using AI models to optimize things. And, historically, it's been things like next best offer, for example, or fraud detection or anomaly detection, for example. And those use cases are all still valid. But in order to get enterprise scale for AI, you really need to dot your I's and cross your T's on that data side and on the process side. And which kind of a model are you going to use? It's very interesting. There are lots of different ways you can do this these days. I mean, there's really no end to the permutations, but you have to get it right for your organization. And that requires a real gut check to make sure that you're ready from an operational perspective, from a change management perspective, too, right, Lamia?
Yeah, absolutely. And you looked at like change management. It is always the key success gateway for the transformation of knowing the people and and meet them where they are at and really start while you are thinking about those transformation is considering the human that they will integrate the change. Those are the people that need to be aware of the technology that you are going to acquire and your business goal and why we're doing this and how we are going to do that and how you're going to invest in them to be able really to achieve the goal. So the
Mm-hmm.
goal is not transformation in AI and technology and stack in place. The goal is to define exactly where is the organization is heading, what is
Mm-hmm.
their business challenges are, and based on defining this, how we all orchestrate that together and defining the way to really get rid of those bottlenecks. So,
Mm-hmm.
and a part of it, who will do the work? It's the talent, it's the soft skills, it's the
Right.
people that we have in the organization. So, how
That's
we
right.
are upskill them for that change and that transformation is that part of the readiness roadmap that we need to build together to really figure out the future of the company.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point, and it's something worth repeating, frankly. So Lamia is pointing out, You need to know what you want to do with these technologies before you start looking into this tech or that tech. You need to understand your operating model. You need to understand what you're trying to do, and you need to prepare your people, and your people need to help you. Real quick, we had Lisa Palmer, Dr. Lisa Palmer on the show a while ago. She said, if you tell your team you're going to replace them with AI, they're going to be wildly unmotivated to help you do that. So don't do that. Don't take that approach. Focus on building together. Well, folks, look this lady up online. Lamiaa Farrag, Lamiaa Farrag. We'll be right back. You're listening to Inside Analysis. All right, back here on Inside Analysis, and we got one more segment with Lamiaa Farrag, who has some interesting stories about a rather big vendor out there, a big company with lots and lots and lots of data and lots of products and supply chain issues and marketing and all kind of stuff called Walmart. So, what can you tell us about Walmart, Lamiaa?
Walmart approach is really fascinating, Eric, because like when we track their history and the action they have done in place, it is amazing. So Walmart faced a classic omni-channel challenge. Inventory was physically accurate in store and warehouse, but digitally fragmented across system in near real time. This created, of course, huge gap between what customers saw online and what was actually available in store. By investing in real-time inventory visibility,
Hmm.
unified data platform, AI-driven demand and fulfillment system, Walmart reduced stock inconsistency and improved fulfillment accuracy across different channels. The
Wow.
real lesson here is not about single technology again, Eric. It was about all aligning physical operation with digital intelligence so that decision, pricing, and customer promises are based on single trusted view of an inventory. So the
Wow.
transformation is a masterclass, is aligning the physical operation with the digital intelligence. That's the magic that each company in the retail or CPG are dreaming of. The
Wow.
real breakthrough was not the single model. It's not about modeling. It was about standardizing data product across distributed vector architecture, which gave them unified intelligence engine at enterprise scale.
Hmm.
The core business challenge is that they have 10,000 stores globally. The real problem was not forecasting, it was interoperability. The
Hmm.
fragmented identity graph created what we call inventory hallucination.
Hmm.
The whole thing, the whole model that Walmart is building right now, it is a role model for other retailer as well. And
Hmm.
the AI confident reported an item in stock while in the shelf was empty. Digital speed had outpaced physical reality.
Wow.
So that's
Yeah.
really the takeaway for the executive is omni-channel excellence is not again Eric technology problem. It is data alignment problem. When physical operation and digital intelligence run hand in hand on the same truth, everything else accelerate.
Hmm. Yeah, well, that's the key. And so when we talk about getting your data house in order, that's really what we're talking about. And these days, again, if you're going to use AI to do some of these critical business tasks, you need to make sure that it's an appropriate use case. So you've mentioned vectors, for example, and hallucinations. And, one of my good friends, I always talk about him, Mark Madsen of Third Nature. He's an analyst, consultant, very, very smart guy. He jokes that everything an LLM produces is a hallucination. It's just that most of the time it's accurate, which is not, it's not luck, but the thing is these are probabilistic systems. So they're
Correct.
literally predicting patterns of words based upon their training and your prompt. So if you are in a high distribution area of the model where there's a lot of training data, you're going to get a pretty good answer, like basic history questions, for example, or how do dishwashers work. Things that have been widely published are going to be just fine. But if it's an esoteric topic that is not widely published, or if it's your own enterprise data, which is not available to subject to widespread internet-based review, well, then you've got a bit of a problem. That's where the RAG models come in and things of that nature. But the bigger point you're making is that it is the alignment of the information systems themselves that matters the most. The AI can do a bunch of different things like analyze data sets, look for anomalies, dig up instructions for how to do things. It can do a lot of different stuff that's very useful. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure that your information systems are aligned. Otherwise, you're going to have all kind of trouble, right?
Correct. And like also machine learning and demand forecasting with a sample model of AI driven supplier, all of that, there is a huge omni-channel. The alignment is crucial, as you mentioned. We understand, of course, the rules of machine learning, the rules of LLM, the rules of demand. We can apply all those, but without aligning across the enterprise, without
Hmm.
agreeing where should we remove the bottlenecks are, this is will be the always the issue that for company to move forward.
Yeah,
So real-time shelf inventory sensing and smart store formats, it's must. But what you're gonna do with that if you're
right.
not aligning the rest of the omni-channel together?
Right. Well, that's the thing is that there are very complex dependencies and workflows. And if you don't know what that looks like, you're going to have all kind of trouble using AI because, like you said, it hallucinated a product's availability. Well, that's not good. So I remember watching Andrew Ng, who was one of the smartest people in this industry, talk about how they had built a model and a RAG architecture, I think it was, to optimize the accuracy of this particular AI solution, all the way up to even 90%. So, okay, what part of your business can be wrong 10% of the time? The
Yeah.
answer is not much. Not supply chain, not accounting, not fulfillment. None of those things can be wrong 10% of the time. You're going to have very, very unhappy clients or customers. So you got to figure out where to apply these things. So one of the more clever people I know in this space, Sami Akbe from Degen AI, he says, look, you need to bake the guardrails into the skills and tools that the LLMs use because you can't control the LLM. No matter all the prompt engineering you do, you're not going to control what it does. You can shepherd and guide it and get close, but it's a very different thing from controlling. They are not deterministic systems, they're probabilistic systems. So the key is to understand where they fit in and what they do and to make sure that's appropriate, right, Lamia?
Absolutely. I cannot agree more with this, Eric. And I just went, I would like to end up with that, telling you with factual numbers here. And I don't want you to shock or get surprised. 98.4% of enterprises are increasing AI investment. 90% view data and AI as a top board priorities in the boardroom. 23.9% of the initiative are implemented at scale. But guess what? Average AI ROI sits on 5.9% below the cost of capital. So organizations are pouring in capital, but treating AI like a software update instead of a steam to electricity transformation, if you remember those days.
Wow.
So those numbers is a wake-up call that they keep using AI as a technology, as a pilot phase, but not yet as AI at scale to really help transform the companies to move from steam to electricity.
Yeah, and I think that probably some good advice for organizations listening to this show is to recognize first and foremost, in terms of personal productivity, these large language models are fantastic. They're very, very good at doing research, at facilitating research, at writing simple things that you need to write, like letters or memos or things of that nature, blogs. They can help. I mean, I'm a bit of a purist. I don't want to use an LLM to write an article of mine, but I do use it to, for example, pull quotes from a transcript. So I'll give it all the quotes from a big long, I'll get a whole transcript, say pull 20 quotes out from Lamia and 10 quotes from me and put them in an order that makes sense for a story. And it will do that very well. And you get all these quotes. Now, once in a while, it does make stuff up still, but usually they're getting pretty good about that sort of thing. So my point is that there are many use cases for personal productivity, and that's where organizations should start while they get their data house in order, while they get their operational model understood and articulated, such that when people are up to speed in terms of what these things do, they'll be able to apply it to the business. What are your last thoughts from you? 60 seconds.
Yeah, my thoughts here in modern enterprise competition is not about logistics anymore. It is about information agility, rate, the speed at which you digest data to make decision. So the
Hmm.
company will win is the agile company that has a clear govern at a speed and they really understand where they are heading and what are the bottleneck for them, but also capable and able to do the transformation as it should be.
Hmm. Yeah, that's excellent advice. Well, look this young lady up online, Lamia, Lamiaa Farrag, Farrag. Folks, send me an email if you want to be on the show, info@insideanalysis.com. That does come straight to me. We're booking out the next few months of shows. It's going to be a wild ride, folks. I have to tell you, this is a very, very intense time. It's very transformative, but keep your wits about you. It's going to be fine. We'll all be fine. We're the humans. We're the ones who matter. We'll talk to you next time. You've been listening to Inside Analysis.